And this commentary is going to be about the judge and this dirty clerk, Miss Becky Hill, Rebecca Hill. She has been accused of witness tampering of jury members and may possibly face charges, depending on the findings of what she's actually done. This is a bizarre case. It was bizarre just because of the crime itself. Murdaugh killing his wife and son for monetary gain, known drug user. As most of you have seen pictures of him as of late, he's lost a lot of weight. Very small in his weight. Very tall man, but he's small in weight. He looks sickly, but that's expected when you've worried yourself damn near to death because of what you've done. Killing your own family. And now, 6 months later, the information that the clerk has been canoodling with a jury member, talking to jury members about the case, telling them they should pay attention to, at that time, Mr. Murdaugh's commentary, not to believe him, which is baffling to me that these people are just now bringing this information forward, because you're talking about 6 months ago. So why are we hearing of this woman talking to the jury members? This is day one. I find it interesting that the attorneys and the defense never notice this woman talking with a jury member, more than one jury member. How is that possible? If they went to the crime scene, how is it that the defense would have never seen this, or the prosecution? So you mean to tell me somebody put all these people on a school bus, took them to the crime scene, and there were no attorneys for either side to witness the clerk conversating with a jury member or more? This is bullshit. This is the craziest story. Like I said, it's already bad enough that 2 people have lost their lives because of a dope fiend, greedy dope fiend who was in over his head. I believe had financial problems, so on and so forth. I did not follow the case because it was too winded for me, and I cover a lot of cases. I give updates according to, my mood, but I don't cover every case that's, breaking news. But this right here, yes, is hot butter. Everybody's talking about it as of late, and they're going to talk about it. His attorneys want a new trial because of this information of jury members coming forward and saying this lady was talking to them about the trial, trying to coerce them or tell them not to listen to what he had to say, not to believe him, which I feel like they were going to learn all this on their own anyway. That's the purpose of the state bringing forward information, evidence to show that Mr. Murdaugh was guilty of the crimes. That's the burden of the state. And if you follow true crime and the judicial process, you know that that's the burden of the state, not the defense. So they didn't need anybody to instruct them to do a damn thing. Why are we just now hearing about Rebecca Hill? Now to top off the information of her witness tampering, possibly obstruction of justice. Never heard of a clerk being involved with jury members, talking to them, meeting with them. I just never heard of such. This is baffling. She's written a book that came out last month. So this is what I think about that. She's planned this. She planned this. This was her way out of being a clerk, a quick way to get a quick buck. That's the reason why she was talking to these people, because she would need that information. Think about it. The trial ended in March. The book came out last month, which was in August. July, August. So she's had ample enough time to compile her information, her data, what she's learned, anything she's learned by documents, to make a book. All you have to do is follow the breadcrumbs, because she left some nice little breadcrumbs. Judge Newman, African-American judge, Let's talk about him. What is his role? What is his involvement with Becky Hill? Because something's off. Because she went and passed gossip, a lie, that somebody's husband was posting some negative material pertaining to the case, blah, blah, blah. Allegedly, he went and looked, had somebody look into it. Law officials or whomever found the man. The man offered up his phone. There was no such post from his social media account. So now you have to ask the ultimate question. If this is true that the man's phone was looked into by law officials, then why was the juror let go? I'll wait. I'll let you marinate on that for just a second. You can go into the YouTube queue to hear the judge giving information to the juror, relieving her of her duties, talking about dozens of eggs she left behind, blah, blah. Just a bunch of bull to me. So the juror had to have known something was up with being let go. Usually they don't tell you why they're letting you go. Just that either side didn't meet up to choose you as a juror. I've never heard of a juror being known of why they were let go, that they ever found out why they were let go. So let's ask that question. During the conversation between the judge and the juror, did the judge tell her the truth why she was let go? Because if it was found out that the phone had no data of a negative post pertaining to the trial or anything that the wife told him, then the judge knew it was a lie when he let her go, dismissed her as a juror. So now we have to ask, was the judge also complicit with Becky Hill in having this juror removed? She felt this juror might vote guilty. How in the hell would you know what she would and would not do? You only would gather that information if, one, you knew her personally and never said anything about knowing her, knew of her commentary beforehand, knew how she lived, how she thought, or you were judging her commentary in the courtroom between the state and the defense, asking her personal questions, because they ask you questions as to determine if you will make a good fit for the jury. So that's the only way she could come to form an opinion, which is really none of her business how the lady thought, because that's not her job. As someone said last night on TV, what was she trying to do? Become the 13th juror? Exactly. That's what it sounds like to me. A combination of a psycho woman, bored out of her mind, looking for a quick way to exit out of the court system, looking for a quick way to make some money, and also wanting to be on that trial because maybe she has some personal dealings or personal feelings about the two people murdered. Does she know Alex Murdaugh? Has she had any dealings with him? Is she related to the victims? Because there's something strange about her meddling in this case. I've never heard of a clerk having this much involvement as far as the jury, talking to the jury, being with the jury personally. So really, what is her job description as a clerk? Because when I think of the clerk, I think of the person that's running the main office. So what are we saying? She runs a main office in the courthouse, or they have a court clerk in the courtroom? I need a job description of what she's supposed to be doing. This is a whack case. It's bad enough 2 people are dead because of a selfish man's decision to murder them. But now here we have, months later, 3 jurors bringing forward sworn statements against Rebecca Hill that she was canoodling with one, making derogatory comments about the suspect, the defendant, when she had no business talking to them about anything. She had no business talking to them about the case, about the defendant, about nothing. Now, as someone said last night, was she talking about getting her nails done or the latest salon or something that had nothing to do with the trial? She would have to bring forward that information to say what her business was with these said people. Why she's walking off separately, talking to one of the jurors. They became chummy. Why? What's her stake in all of this? The fact that she wrote a book should tell you something about her character. Why are you writing a book when, one, you're not a jury, you weren't a jury member? Not even a lawyer, just the court clerk. Many people are talking about this, and most of the people I've heard speaking last night on the news entities, is they've never heard of such behavior from a clerk. Being involved in a court trial, immersing herself in the trial, meddling with the jury panel. Nobody has nothing to say during this time to bring forward information of her messing with the jury, bothering the jury, talking to the jury, canoodling with jury members, and then also writing a book and it coming out months after the trial, when she has no bearing on the trial. So that's why I said, what is her actual job description? For her to be meddling with jury members, nobody noticing she was meddling with them, a judge making a decision to remove a juror off her recommendation, and her gossip, lies. There's something terrible with this case. And that's the sick part. The man's been found guilty. Now, his lawyers want a new trial. Now, legally, they could ask for it because of the circumstances of this woman bothering these members and talking to the jury members. But I don't think it would change the verdict with another trial, because the evidence is going to remain the same. You're going to hear the same witnesses. You're going to hear the same evidence brought forward by the state. I don't think it would have any bearing, this woman talking to these jury members, as far as a guilty verdict. But legally, he would be entitled to a new trial because of the clerk meddling in this trial and the jury when she had no business. And I still can't understand why nobody noticed this beside the jury. This is unheard of. Small town, probably small courthouse. You want me to believe that nobody in an official capacity didn't notice this woman talking to different jury members personally? I don't believe that. A bailiff, security officer, police, sheriff, somebody should have seen this. But we've learned in small towns, people keep their mouths closed. What they do is they whisper and pray nothing gets out with their name on it. And he said, she said. But somebody in an official capacity should have noticed her talking to the jury members when they were out on their crime scene investigation. That's strange to me. So I'd like to know, when did these people bring forward this information? He was found guilty March 2023, 6 months ago. When did these people go forward to speak? Together, I won't doubt it, to say, hey, let's go forward and say this, and this about Becky Hill. So I'm going to go down the line. Number one, Judge Newman. Do you have a personal relationship with Becky Hill? Why did you believe the lies when the man showed you his phone and showed you he had not been on social media talking about the case or making any type of negative commentary about the trial itself or the jury deliberation, so on and so forth? You have also known that the wife had no improprieties pertaining to the case or being a jury member, but yet you still dismissed her. Why? Why did you believe Becky Hill had to say? There's something off between you and Becky. Is there a personal relationship or favoritism? Will the judge be brought up on any type of charges or improprieties? Because he needs to be looked at as well. Because he solely made a decision about the juror from Becky Hill. Becky Hill, number 2. What was your motivation for this debacle that you've caused? You wanted to be a juror? You have a personal vendetta against Mr. Murdaugh? You have a personal vendetta against the judicial system? You have something against that juror or the juror's husband? Something against their family members, friends, associates? Do you know the juror and her husband? And mainly, why were you meddling with the jury panel? Telling them not to listen to anything Mr. Murdaugh had to say, not to believe his testimony. That sounds personal to me. That's why I said there's something wrong with Becky Hill. Becky, to me, is like a lot of people walking around. She's a nosy, meddling Karen. She has nothing better to do with her time. She's a clout chaser. She wanted attention. Well, she's got it now. If she was so miserable in her little life as the clerk, she now has her 5 minutes of fame by now being known as a clerk who went outside of her jurisdiction, meddling with the jury. Number 2, writing a book when she had nothing to do with the trial. You now have your 5 minutes of fame, Miss Hill. But what you need to ask yourself is this, because I'm sure this did not dawn on you. You may be charged with obstruction of justice and other said charges pertaining to you meddling with the jury. You also will probably be sued for defamation by that lady and her husband for lying on them. And that new money that you're going to get from that book deal, you'll probably have to forfeit all of that by a civil lawsuit. And they have every right to sue you because you went behind the lady's back, spreading rumors about she and her husband to the judge. He foolishly went along with it and dismissed her. They would win the lawsuit. And they also could sue this county for improprieties. See, it goes deeper. The hole is deep. The rabbit's hole is deep pertaining to this case. The man and woman could sue the county, the judge, Miss Hill, all over her meddling for some sick, perverse reason. As I said, I did not follow this case thoroughly. Every blue moon, I would make a comment or post information pertaining to Mr. Alex Murdaugh, but I chose not to discuss this case on my channel. Now, fast forward months later, he is a hot topic because of Becky Hill. And Becky, you are now causing a headache to the state prosecution because now they have to worry about retrying a case that they won a victory on because of your meddling ass. See, you are what is wrong with America. Meddling, meddling, meddling. We as people have to learn when to be quiet, when to keep things to ourselves, not to say anything. Stay out of it. You were hired as an official person. As somebody said last night, she works for the government. You're entitled to disagree or agree. The point is she works for this court system. She's trusted to do her job thoroughly, efficiently, and ethically and morally, and she broke all of those protocols. She's a disgrace to me because she had no business saying anything to the jury members. That's no different than the judge talking to the jury members separately and alone. The lawyers talking to the jury members separately and alone. There is no difference. The bailiff talking to the jury members separately and alone. Nobody working in the court has any business talking to the jury members. Like someone said last night, the only thing you're supposed to be doing is making the jury comfortable. Hello, good morning. Time for your break. Are you all hungry? What would you like to eat? Getting them to and from the courthouse and also guarding their safety. No one should have been talking to the jury members separately on the phone in the courthouse, outside of the courthouse, at the crime scenes, nowhere. It's a violation, and you know better. And this lady knows better. And she's selfish. This is why you know there's something wrong with her. She's a messy Karen because she went meddling with the jury, and she also wrote a book that's now out, 5 months out from the verdict. That should tell you right there, she's sinister and she's selfish and she's self-absorbed. Godlike complex, narcissist, sociopath. And I'm sure if somebody decides to start digging, you're going to find out a whole lot of things about Becky Hill that nobody probably knew, or people knew and they just didn't say anything. And this is the one thing we've learned about people who work in official capacities as far as state government, local government, even federal government. People know that these people have improprieties in their demeanor and their behavior, and they push it under the rug and they give them a pass. It's going to be sad if we find out she's been doing other meddling inside of this courthouse alongside Mr. Judge Newman. Because in the end, he was in cahoots with her. He went on her recommendation, her lies, her rumors, and dismissed a juror without warrant. And that is a problem. He sits at a very high capacity, and most people respect judges, whether they like them or not. So now, Judge, we have to ask you, Mr. Newman, why did you listen to what she had to say? And why did you dismiss the juror when you knew the husband had not put the post up on Facebook? Why did you do that? Are you romantically involved with this woman? You like her, you favor her, you have some type of entanglement with her, you owe her a favor. What are we talking about here? That's my commentary for today, everybody. This is some bogus nonsense pertaining to a very sick case of a man who brutally murdered his wife and son, denied it, and I just watched a short of him talking to the judge, and he's smacking on his tongue every time he said 2 words, which showed me he was guilty, because it's almost like he had to think about what to say to the judge, telling the judge, I didn't do this, I'm not that type of person, blah, blah, blah. And Judge Newman tells him, yeah, well, with all the pill popping you've done, that's the person that killed this son and mother. The monster you became is the person that killed your family, your other side. Now, fast forward, here's the judge. He's now sitting in the hot seat, and I'm sure many people are going to wonder the judge's role in this mess. What is the judge's role? What pushed this woman to write a book and tamper with the jury? And why didn't anyone notice this and come forward months ago before Mr. Murdaugh was found guilty? This is what's baffling to me. Her behavior, the judge's behavior, because it's damn near conspiracy, depending on your perception. And why are we just now hearing about it September 2023, after the man's been sentenced and sent to prison? He also has his privileges removed from the prison, iPad usage. He's been having a really rough time, but most of us probably won't care because he deserved to be where he is. He put himself there by taking the life of his wife and his son. And we also believe he had some wranglings with other illegal dealings and the death of another young person involving his children. He's a dirty bird. Becky Hill is a dirty bird. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say Judge Newman is not on the right track either. He's possibly a dirty bird as well, because in the end, he did make the decision to dismiss the jury off of her lies. And we have to ask ourselves why, when it was proven false. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. I'll stick us in chats and welcome during the live streams. Thank you for your time. God bless all of you. Stay safe. Please go to my community board for said polls and updates. I will put up a poll pertaining to this newfound information pertaining to Alex Murdaugh, Becky Hill, the judge, and any other information that will be brought forward. Now, the number one question is this: will the judge be removed, cited, sued? Will she be sued, brought up on charges for obstruction of justice, tampering with witnesses? And is she still the clerk? Because how can you be a clerk still and just release the book a month beforehand pertaining to a trial that you had no business being a part of in the first place? Please explain that to the queen. Thank you for your time. Have a wonderful week, everybody. You have been listening to The Vault.